it's time for some serious race action. Hello everyone and welcome to the Lausitzring. It's the second race weekend of the DTM season 2020 and it's the fourth race coming up today and we're super excited. Audi is very, very dominant. It's going to be tough for BMW in this race, but it's going to be some very exciting racing, that's for sure. And the conditions are a lot different to yesterday because today it's a lot hotter. And speaking of hot, our grid girls are fitted by a very famous German designer. Her name is Marina Hermannsleder, and I'm very happy that you're here today.
Hi.
And hi, the girls look amazing. Maybe
Thank
you. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about the design and maybe the idea behind it.
Well, the basic idea was that this year we have power girls. It's not grid girls anymore, so we wanted some absolute female empowerment on the grid. That's why they should look like straight from the catwalk. They have very modern elements, feminine elements though also, like bows, but also some classical elements from motorsports, like the patches that I'm wearing now, or fake leather. We used some sustainable materials as well to bring in some sustainability, of course. And yeah, I hope you like it.
Oh, I absolutely love it. And as I can see, as we're in Germany, it's black, red and gold for the German flag, I guess.
Absolutely. that was the whole reason behind it. So every weekend there's going to be another outfit, and also the colors reflect the country where we're at.
Wonderful, Marina. Thank you so much. And I love the idea about empowering the girls, and power, that's what it's about in the DTM. And that's why before we get racing, let's go to the commentary box.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Yeah, pretty cool that, isn't it? Good to see some innovation there down on the grid. We are preparing then for this second race of the weekend here at the Lausitzring. My name's Chris Hartley and I'm going to talk you through what will be round 4 of the 2020 DTM season. Briefly, quick news about Robert Kubica. He had his qualifying times taken away from him due to a part Ferme infringement. However, he's being allowed to race and he's going to start 16th, which is where he would have qualified anyway. So no huge dramas there. Gerhard Berger, the ITR chairman to the left there, the former multiple Grand Prix winner. And he's chatting to his nephew, Lucas Auer, who's come back to DTM after a year away from a Mercedes driver, now as a BMW driver. Perhaps a few words of wisdom, but Lucas Auer has got a good record here, a couple of wins, got his maiden victory here, and lots of testing years done over the years, particularly when he was a single-seater racer, having been a part of, for a long time, Peter Bucher's Motorsport team as a Formula 3 driver. So we are here, we have the cars on the grid in hotter conditions than we had yesterday, and we had another very, very close qualifying session this morning. And we can hear now from the driver that once again came out on top.
And I'm here with a man who is in pole again. And allow me to quote your engineer, Robin Freins, you are awesome. So the question now, starting from pole position, are you going to be awesome in the race and are you going to hopefully win?
I'm waiting for the first win for a long time. I've been super close several times. Obviously in qualifying we have the car to be up front. In race yesterday I think Nico was just a bit quicker, but we learned from that. We had some data to watch at yesterday evening. So yeah, let's see. I mean, the start is going to be very important to stay on the lead in the first lap, and we take it from there.
All right, best of luck for the race, Robin. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thanks, Verena. Good to hear from Robin Freins, who has been the man when it's come to qualifying so far this year. His average grid position from the 4 sessions we've had, he's first on the grid. He's had 3 poles, and his worst is a second place starting position, which was for round 2 at Spa. Yet to get his first win, though. It's his second season of DTM, a former multiple Formula Renault and Blancpain GT champion. Philippe Eng there, who pulled off a wonderful move yesterday to grab 9th place away from Mike Rockenfeller in the closing stages around the outside at turn 1 with the cars barely separable. It was fantastic bravery, but unfortunately the weekend hasn't quite panned out as maybe he'd hoped after what was a promising couple of free practice sessions. Sheldon van der Linde, who was the star of yesterday's race in many ways, having made his way into the podium positions for the first time. So Sheldon van der Linde becoming the first ever South African to claim a DTM podium. He got his first DTM podium, and it was also the first DTM podium of the season for BMW. But struggling with the car and the tyres and grip this morning in qualifying. He's got to come from further back, from 10th place on the grid with Jamie Green, there you can see, for company on the 5th row of the grid. Audis have taken the top 6 places on the grid, but we can hear now from the best placed BMW driver with Verena.
The man who's starting in P7 is Marco Wittmann. It's going to be a very tough race for you because you've got 6 Audis ahead of you, but you're looking for shade at the moment. Does that mean you're going to keep your cool for the race?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it helps a bit maybe. I mean, clearly yesterday we had quite a good long run pace in the race, and I hope we can have the same today. I mean, as you said, we have 6 Audis in front, so this will be quite a hard race probably. But at least we are in the best position to fight against them. Best BMW, so let's see. I hope that we have a good long run pace and that we can make up some places.
All right, crossing our fingers. Thank you so much, Marco. Best of luck for the race. Here's your commentator.
Thanks, Verena. How cool is Marco Wittmann looking with those shades? But as Verena quite rightly pointed out, the drivers doing their best to keep in the shade. It is around about 28, nearly 29 degrees, so it's a good 5 degrees warmer than it was yesterday. It's not quite at the dizzying heights that we had for the first day at Spa, but it's going to be hot work for these drivers. 55 minutes plus 1 lap of racing on a track which is pretty physically demanding, not in terms of the high-speed corners, but the fact that you've just got these corners all flowing directly into one another. There's not much respite in terms of straights here around the lap until you get to the start-finish straight. There are a couple of straights. You go onto the tri-oval a couple of times, but it's certainly going to be physically demanding for them. But as many of the drivers have said, due to the lockdown, one of the positives of that is that they've had a lot more time to pre-season train than they necessarily would have. Okay, so qualifying, you've heard from Robin Freins, who claimed pole position. The championship leader, Nico Müller, is going to line up alongside him, second on the grid. And we can hear now from Verena, who's caught up with the driver that's had a much better run of it and qualified just behind them.
And I'm here with the reigning champion, René Rast. René, yesterday was a difficult day, but today looks a lot more promising. You're starting in P3, so what are you hoping for the race?
Yeah, obviously starting much better than yesterday, P3. Hopefully we can also achieve a podium today. I mean, yesterday was a tough race. It was a bit missing on pace, but hopefully, I mean, we changed the car completely upside down today. So hopefully the paces in the race will be better, but it's going to be difficult. I mean, it's quite warm today, sun, no clouds, so completely different conditions compared to yesterday. So let's see.
All right, best of luck. Thank you very much, René. And now let's get racing. So here's the commentator.
Yeah, we're building up nicely now. René Rast only qualified 7th yesterday and had a bit of a battling performance to finish where he started in the end in 7th place. Had a good couple of scraps with Jamie Green along the way, but his cause wasn't out when he went off the road at turn 3, went wide as the pack sorted itself out through the twists and turns of the first sector. So slightly off-colour performance from the car and the driver, but René works very hard on improving things and has made a lot of changes, as he said, to qualify 3rd quickest. He provisionally got on pole with just a minute or so remaining in the session, but was then pipped by Nico Müller, and then they were both pipped pretty close to the end of the session by Robin Freins, who now claims his 3rd pole position start in just 2 weekends of racing. It was also the closest qualifying session that we've had so far. The average gap between the top 2 in qualifying in DTM this year has been 0.144 seconds, but it was the closest one today for sure, with just 65 thousandths of a second covering the top 2, and there was only 3/4 of 1/10 of a second covering the top 3, so it could be an interesting race, this. I suspect it very much will be. Thanks to Robert Kubica, who is here racing at the Lausitzring for the first time ever, having never competed here previously, even in single-seaters. The former Grand Prix racer, still involved in Formula 1 as a reserve driver for Alfa Romeo, a Williams driver last year, and a former Grand Prix winner. And great to have him here with us. Lots of support for Robert back home in Poland. It's tough for him to come to certainly a new track that he hasn't been on before, and a new car with you know, a very unusual pre-season preparation for everybody. It's not been the easiest time to come into DTM as a new driver, and it's always ultra competitive anyway. We've seen many ex-Formula 1 drivers have come into this with great reputations, and have not necessarily been able to perform at the highest level straight away. But Robert, I think he's closing the gap. He's getting quicker and quicker, and he had the joy of being able to lead the race at one point yesterday as the last of the pit stoppers. We'll see how today unfolds shortly. So we're here at the Lausitzring to the east of Germany, getting set for this next round of action. Klettwitz is the nearest village, but there's only just over 1,300 residents there. So it is quite a green area, this, but with an industrial pass. The circuit itself built on the side of a huge open coal mine. And first launched for motorsport in the year 2000. The DTM has been coming here for a number of years using different variations of the circuit. And it's also worth pointing out that here at the Lausitzring, pole position doesn't necessarily guarantee you a race victory. You have to go back to 2016 to find the last winner of a race here at the Lausitzring from pole position. That was Miguel Molina, the Audi driver, back in 2016. And the year before that, Jamie Green did it for Team Rosberg Audi as well. But it's been 4 years, 5 seasons since somebody has won from pole position. As Ferdinand Habsburg, who got his best ever qualifying position earlier on today, he's going to be lining up on the second row of the grid, just about 0.4 of a second away from the ultimate pole position time. So a good effort from him. It follows on a strong performance in the race yesterday, in which he got his best race result so far in his second season of DTM with a 6th place finish. Robin Freins, though, who is well used to winning things, is going to be at the head of the pack. They line up as follows. Robin Freins on pole, with Nico Muller, the championship leader, alongside. René Rast, who you heard from, starting 3rd, and as mentioned, Ferdinand Habsburg with his best start yet, 4th. Loic de Waal and Mike Rockenfeller will share the 3rd row of the grid. It's an Audi front 3-row lockout. Marco Wittmann, the best BMW, starts 7th. Harrison Newey, who scored his first point yesterday in DTM with his best qualifying in 8th. Then it's Jamie Green and Sheldon van der Linde, probably to watch forwards coming through the pack. From the next row, Philip Eng and Timo Glock start 11th and 12th on the 6th row. On the 7th row, Fabio Scherer and Jonathan Aberdeen starting 13th and 14th respectively. Lucas Auer and Robert Kubica then at the back of the field, starting on the 8th and final row of the grid. So René Rast coming into this race as the driver 3rd in the standings after the qualifying session, with points awarded to the top 3. 3 points for a pole, 2 points if you qualify 2nd, and a point for 3rd. We've now got Nico Muller on 82 points, Robin Freins 2nd on 46. Robin did at least close the gap by a point after qualifying. René Rast on 36 points is 3rd. Jamie Green, who started the weekend 2nd in the points, is 4th now on 34. And then Sheldon van der Linde, 26 points, 5th in the standings with Mike Rockenfeller and Loic de Waal, both on 22 points apiece. And it's also worth noting that Nico Muller is on for his 4th consecutive podium at this circuit, because he was on the podium both times last year, although it was on the longer Grand Prix version of this circuit that we'll be using next weekend on our return visit. He got a 1st and a 2nd place finish last year, both from 3rd on the grid, so I won't be too worried about the fact that he's not on pole position. He's also become yesterday the first ever driver to win the first 3 races of his DTM season. And if you go back to last season, he won the final round of the 2019 championship at Hockenheim. So he's had 4 consecutive race wins now, if you go back to that. The record, which was set by René Rast at the end of the 2018 season, is 6 consecutive wins. So might start to think about possibly eyeing that up if he keeps driving the way he is. Nico Muller so far has scored 82 points out of a possible 87. Now, if you're at school and you got those sort of marks, you'd be getting an A star and probably asking your parents for a raise in pocket money. So he's done jolly well so far, and Nico Muller driving out of his skin at the start of this season. Yesterday, he started on the front row, and he started alongside the pole sitter, Robin Freins. It's a repeat front row grid for today's race. Yesterday, Muller got the better start off the line, and he got into turn 1 at the head of the pack. And that ultimately might well have been the difference and took him to another win. Robert Kubica there is going to start from the pit lane by the looks of things in the garage still. But they're firing up the engines, the DTM drivers now, the top 3 in the championship, will be in a slightly different order on the top 3 on the grid, getting set now to head off onto this formation lap. the track temperature much higher than it was yesterday, so we can maybe look at the option of drivers coming in earlier for pit stops, possibly. René Rast also sort of hinted this morning when he spoke to Verena after qualifying that he might try something a little bit different in terms of strategy. The first of the front-running drivers to pit yesterday was Sheldon van der Linde, the first driver in, but he was the first of the front-runners, and that was on lap 14. Sheldon might be somebody to try something a little bit different now as well, because he's got a much worse grid position than he enjoyed yesterday, down in 10th place. Got this interesting battle going on between Team Audi Sportsline as well. They've got their two drivers in fine form, Freins and Muller, of course, and Team Rosberg. They've got René Rast up there, and Jamie Green, who had a very good weekend at Spa as well. But it's Audi Team Audi Sportsline rather, that lead the team standings on 128 points. Team Rosberg's 70. Team Phoenix are third in the Brand Championship. Audi are well clear as it stands, 152 points to BMW's 34. But a much more positive day yesterday for BMW with that podium, and better performances in terms of their pace in qualifying as well. So they see confirmation of the grid and how it is going to shape up for round 4 of the championship. Mandatory pit stop, of course, to bear in mind as well. No refueling, everybody comes in to change tyres. For the first time since 2016, a reintroduction of a pit window. So in the last couple of seasons in DTM, you could come in when you wanted, and some drivers often, if they've got a bad grid position, would come in and try something different, come in right at the start of the race. Marco Wittmann won a race like that last year.
Robin, remember, no push to pass and DRS for the leader.
Yeah, just a reminder there to Robin Freins, because that was the problem that René Rast had at Spa.
Have a good one, mate.
Radio now.
He'll be guided into his grid position
8,
now.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, stop. Perfect.
There, perfect. That's
3,
Michael Petit, engineer for Robin Freins.
1 meter, half one, stop.
Florian Rinks guiding René Rast onto his grid spot, because I can't see over the bonnets. And this morning, the words, as Verena said, from the engineer, Michael Petit of Robin Freins, that was awesome, mate. But yes, just a reminder that you can't press the push to pass button if you're the race leader, and that's what René Rast did when he led at Spa. It was found later in the race, and that's why the win was taken away from him at the start of the weekend with the penalty. Penalties as well applied for Mike Rockefeller and Jonathan Aberdeen for slow zone infringements yesterday. Everybody's ready to go. Lights out then, and we are racing here for the second time this weekend at the DTM. Robin Freins making a much better start this time, and Rast has gone with him. Looks like a good start in the background for Sheldon van der Linde as well. It's side by side though between the top two through turn 1, and Rast goes on the grass. There's a bit of contact. He goes wide, and coming back at them is Muller. Oh, they've tripped over each other here. Muller's going to come back at them. Marco Wittmann's made a good start as well, and in the background, all jostling for position once again. 2 or 3 cars taking wide lines here, heading out onto the grass, but Rast and Freins almost undid all their good work off the start there. Freins though still leads the race, and Wittmann has squeezed through into 3rd place ahead of Nico Muller. I thought for a moment Muller and maybe even Wittmann were going to be able to get past the pair of them, especially with Rast going off onto the grass for the second time this weekend. He's gone off on the grass through the opening corners of the lap, but he's survived. Thankfully, with all the dry weather we've had, the grass is dry and crispy rather than slippy and muddy, so it wasn't really too much of an issue. Well, despite looking like he got a really good start off the line, Sheldon van der Linde looked like he was going to throw one down the inside into turn 1. You're right on board with him now. Didn't really make up any ground. I'm not sure he's actually gone forwards. He might have even dropped a place or two and wait and count them through to see if that's been the case. Sheldon van der Linde not really having the best first lap. Timo Glock now going side by side with Jamie Green as they come out of turn 12 to complete the lap for the first time in the race. The leaders through, Freins, Rast and Wittmann. Terrific start from Wittmann from the 4th row of the grid. 4th place is Muller, and then it's Rockefeller and Duval next up. And Glock did get ahead of Jamie Green, so that's put him up to 7th place. Green down to 8th position, push to pass enabled. And just to go back to the pit stops, pit windows are now back in enforced for the first time since 2016, but the only rule is you can't pit during the first 4 laps of the race. So lap 5 onwards is where you can pit once the leader has crossed the line at the end of the lap. Jamie Green having to fight hard to keep Ferdinand Habsburg behind him. Ferdinand having dropped places from the 4th row of the grid. Robin Freins arrives just in time to close the door and fend off René Rast and remains in the lead of the race. Remember, the Dutchman looking for his first ever race victory in the DTM. In only his 2nd season, though, after a pretty competitive year last year in which he finished in the top 5 in the championship. You look back from his onboard camera now, and you look back at the Team Rosberg Audi of the 2-time champion and 17-time race winner René Rast, riding the curbs, riding the bumps here as well, which are another physical element for the drivers to contend with, and getting as close as you dare to the concrete walls each time you rejoin the tri-oval circuit. Now, DRS deployed, push to pass for an extra 60 horsepower. This could be an opportunity for René Rast to get the lead of the race. There's only one thing on his mind. He's got the line, he's got the braking point sorted out, and through he goes. So Rast into the lead, Freins back down to 2nd place, and 3rd, and hanging on to their tails, doing a rather good job here is Marco Wittmann, the 2-time champion in the BMW. Nico Müller, for once, not in a podium-paying position, 4th. You get a replay of this move for the lead of the race from René Rast. He made up his mind early where he was going to put the car, and once he got the line, he knew he didn't have to outbrake himself. You can see the grass in the front of the radiator there as well. They're going to have to try and clear that out when he comes in for his mandatory pit stop, so as not to have any worries about the car overheating, especially on a day like this. So Rast with that move into the lead of the race and making good his escape now as they ride the bumps with the pack behind absolutely gelled together. Actually, the top 11 are all in a line. Under investigation for forcing another car off the track is Ferdinand Habsburg. That was on that run through the first few turns where it was all kicking off in the midfield. Jamie Green, who started 8th, has dropped to 11th place in this race. He's getting a warning, Habsburg. Black and white flag, but no penalty. So he gets away with that one, but they'll be keeping an eye on him for the rest of the race. Slipped from 4th to 8th, the Austrian, at the start of this race. But still impressed with the speed that he's shown. There he is in the 62 car with Philippe Eng just behind him. 2 Austrians together. Jonathan Aberdeen has got Robert Kubica behind him, so Kubica's made up some ground here. He's up to 13th place now, the pole, and looking pretty racy. Found away past Scherer, and knew he's the one that's really dropped back at the start of this race, down to the back of the field. Replay of the start. Everybody okay off the line with René Rast. Got it off the line pretty well. The line was covered, and so he threw it around the outside, and he was committed to try and get the lead of the race here. There was the bit of contact. There onto the grass went René Rast. All out of shape as well behind, and look at that. Look how close they were to losing their lead of the race here. As Nico Müller suddenly saw the gap. He got alongside them, but he was stranded on the outside line there. So too was Ferdinand Habsburg. They both ran out of steam, and that was where, and grip, and that was where Marco Wittmann was able to squeeze ahead of both of them to get up to 3rd place. And Müller reacting to the contact between the top 2 was ultimately what cost him his own position, and now he's under fire from the 2013 champion Mike Rockenfeller, who pulls out of the slipstream but only to the outside line. Rast leading by just under 0.8 of a second from Freins. Wittmann, the BMW driver, 3rd. Just 1.3 seconds down on the race leader, and just over half a second down on Freins. And then this battle between Müller and Rockenfeller, and just behind them Loic Duval in the red, grey and black Audi, who's the only retirement yesterday. Mechanical problems putting him out of the race, causing this slow zone, which 2 cars then infringe the rules on. When there's a slow zone, when there's a recovery or a car off the track, you have to do 80 kilometres an hour through that zone. And Mike Rockenfeller went slightly quicker, which was then what gave him a 30-second penalty and cost him his 10th place finish, and promoted Harrison Newey into the points for the first time in his DTM career. And on the opposite end of the scale, Jonathan Aberdeen went too slowly. He was at points doing 50 kilometres an hour and was given a penalty because he was right in front of the race leader when that happened, and that was what we heard on the radio yesterday. Championship leader Nico Müller complaining about the fact that he was being deliberately held up, but Jonathan Aberdeen said, no, look, it was my mistake. I pressed the pit lane speed limiter in error and didn't realise for a little while, and that was why I was going slower than I should have. But he got a 30-second penalty, which didn't affect the points. position. Right, look at this now. Muller onto the tail of Wittmann's BMW, the two green and white machines together. Wittmann's still there for now. He's not going to be an easy driver to overtake here. He's going to defend for all he's worth the BMW amongst the leading Audis. Wittmann's never won here. He was second a couple of seasons ago. As I say, the driver behind him had a win here last year, and he's looking for his 4th consecutive podium at the Lausitzring, having taken that 3rd win of the season yesterday. But Marco Wittmann is doing a fine job of keeping him and the rest of the pack at bay. That's allowing the top 2 to escape up the road a bit now. There's 2 seconds between them and the chasing pack. Right, this is replay, and this might be the reason that Habsburg had that warning. I think it probably is, isn't it? So Habsburg and Green getting an hour getting a bit close, and that was Newey rather getting close a bit too. That was him dropping down the pack, wasn't it? Because Newey qualified 8th but was last by the end of the first lap of the race. So unfortunate first lap for Harrison. And now Robin Freins lunges down the inside and goes for the lead. Onto the grass for the 2nd time in the race is René Rast. He knows it's grippy, keeps his foot buried but loses the position. And look at Wittmann right with them now as well. 1st, 2nd, 3rd all together. Rast is absolutely going for the win here. He's not interested in 2nd place. But so too Robin Freins is looking for his 1st victory in DTM. Neither of them are happy with 2nd. And they've got to be careful not to trip over each other here as Robin Freins sweeps to the outside line. Goes a bit too deep into the corner maybe, pretty wide, but he's going to hold on to the position. Marco Wittmann's trying to attack, but also thinking about Muller and Rockenfeller behind him in 4th and 5th positions. Right, Freins under investigation for forcing another car off the track, and we all know who that was, René Rast. So, Freins elbows out. Got the job done though, got the move and got the lead back. But crikey, he had to work hard to keep it, and René Rast was nipping at his heels all the way through those first few sequence of corners. So the gap they had, 2 seconds, forget about it, it's gone. Here's a replay. It's a very late move from Robin Freins. Almost thought twice about it, and then the door eventually opened up. He went for it, but it was so tight. Rast knew what was coming and tried to defend without over-blocking. And there they go again, side by side. This time it is René Rast having a go. Howard's under investigation for forcing another car off the track now in that incident that he had with Harrison Newey. That we saw the replay of.
It's completely crazy, honestly.
Right, I think that's René Rast showing his displeasure at the weaving that's going on here from his point of view. And a new rivalry is born, everybody. Robin Freins, René Rast, in the heat of battle here at the Lausitzring. What a race we've got here. Wittmann's still very much in this. Certain parts of the lap race quicker as well than the BMW driver, that's for sure. And then sort of sitting back and watching it all happen at the moment to see how this unfolds is Nico Muller. He's got this huge points lead already, given we've only had 3 races. So he doesn't need to go out and win every race, as much as he'd like to. Sometimes you just have to concede that, all right, we're going to win this one, let's try and get some good points for a 3rd or 4th place finish then, rather than risk it all and come off, because it's looked pretty tight out there. We've been on the grass, but nobody's yet properly gone off with big contact, but it's got quite close a couple of times. Right, Sheldon van der Linde, that is, coming into the pits. I thought he might try something different. 8th place driver in for a very early stop. And this time René Rast is a bit too far back to have a lunge, but he's all over the mirrors and the rear view camera and the rear facing onboard of the race leader, Robin Freins. On Sheldon van der Linde. It's a long, wide pit lane here, and it must feel like the snail's pace to the drivers when they have to adhere to that pit lane speed limit. But here tyres coming on. You've seen the message. Have to change position, Rast and Freins. That's the instruction from race control. So Freins is going to be made to exchange positions. We got Timo Glock and Luc de Waal.
It's up to him. Just react, all right?
There you go. Freins is letting him through, as he's been told. He's not happy about it.
Just make that clear.
Do you think Robin Freins is going to sit behind René Rast for the rest of the race now? No, me neither. Right, gloves are off, everybody. René Rast versus Robin Freins. versus Marco Wittmann, ready to pick up the pieces if there are any, and Nico Müller and everybody else all together as well. Rockenfeller, Duval, Glock still in this lead group. Green in 8th, Habsburg 9th. Philipp Eng, the last driver in the points at the moment, in 10th place. Keep an eye on Marco Wittmann. He's got a good run here. The inside line, therefore, is blocked by Robin Freins. Marco's seen this all happening before at the start of the race and saw what Freins and Rast were doing. Rast has got his head down, looks suddenly, trying to make a break for this. Half a second clear through the last timing beam, as Freins had to defend from Marco Wittmann. He's looking for his first win since Brands Hatch last year. Right, settles down just for a moment, catch your breath. But there's going to be more of this. Look how close they are. Lausitzring giving us some really good racing here. Back on board with Robin Freins in 4th gear, working his way up the gears to top gear now, unleashing close to 600 brake horsepower on these cars. These 2-litre turbocharged, thoroughbred race cars. Audi's 1st and 2nd, the BMW and Marco Wittmann 3rd. Marco in search of a podium finish, and Loic Duval comes in to the pits, and Jamie Green comes into the pits as well. So the drivers from 6th and 8th respectively coming in, and they're going to be coming out somewhere around Sheldon van der Linde, who's already made his pit stop. Meanwhile, the leaders go through over the start-finish line. It's around about 40 to 44 seconds, looking at the pit stop data from yesterday's race, that it takes from pit lane entry to pit lane exit, but stationary. They don't want to be there for any more than 7.5 seconds, really. So the pit crew's now working to get the tyres changed as quickly as possible. 9.6 for Jamie Green from Team Rosberg, so he's going to lose out to Loic Duval there. 9 team members allowed to work on the car. I say just 9, it's quite a lot, isn't it? But 9 team members. Only 1 wheel gun can be used though per side of the car, and actually only 8 of them can be really involved in the pit stop. The 9th is there just to catch tyres. There's Sheldon van der Linde. Now he's out behind Duval, but he's got more heat in the tyres, so as he did yesterday to Robin Freins and Loic Duval, he whips around the outside of them. So van der Linde at the moment looks like he's put himself in a decent position here. Possibly when he settles down, he's going to be in the top 6 once everybody makes their pit stops. However, as Timo Glock comes into the pits, he's going to have a mighty long second stint on those tyres after coming in after just 8 laps. What a pretty long stint it will be for Duval and Green as well. And the tyres are going to have more life taken out of them with the extra heat that we've got today, both ambient heat and track temperature. Leaders go through, they get 0.6 of a second as they cross the line. It comes down under braking though as Robin Freins homes in on René Rast. He's just left now the pressure that was coming from Marco Wittmann. Marco in turn has just edged a couple of lengths clear of Nico Müller in 4th place, and Rockenfeller has just dropped back behind them as well. So it's just spread out between 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th now. But I reckon the gap might start to come back down once more between the top 2. That was a good stop. Timo Glock 6.2 seconds. Spoke to him after the race yesterday and he said the stop was good, but I almost messed up the exit, I almost stalled the car. 5th place yesterday. It's going to come out somewhere near Sheldon van der Linde, maybe just in front of him, but he'll have super cold tyres. He said what a struggle it was on those cold tyres for half a lap, and there's nothing he can do to stop Sheldon coming through. So van der Linde, the leading pit stopper, Glock 2nd at the moment, but he's still going to take him a bit of time, even in these temperatures, to get the tyres up to temperature as Robin Freins and also Marco Wittmann now come in for their pit stops. So Freins was on an attacking in-lap there, wasn't he? René Rast will have a bit of breathing space now, and he'll need to get some quick lap times in himself here.
Pit lane.
Copy, pit lane. Track temperature is similar. Van der Linde, you will fight on the exit. And Wittmann, I see now van der Linde stopped 4 laps ago, and Wittmann on the same lap as you. Glock also pitted 3 laps ago.
So all the information being fed to
It's gonna be 30 laps to go, long stint, mate.
Mickey Alpizzi.
Go, go, go.
It's gonna be a long stint, mate. 7 seconds.
Watch the white line on the exit.
Oh, what about Wittmann?
Man, we need to play it more fair, huh? I'm not happy.
Copy, Robin.
Just releasing a bit of frustration there. We've got to play a bit fairer then, have we? I'm not happy about it, but all right. Wittmann had a better pit stop, didn't he? It was a good turnaround by the crew at RMG, but ultimately not quite enough. Now, come out in front of van der Linde. Look behind. Glock has managed to fend off both De Waal and Green. These are all the pit stoppers. So Sheldon van der Linde will try and close in now, but he's certainly put himself into the mix for a top 6 finish here. Possibly. But we'll see how he holds up with the tyres at the end of the race, the older tyres that he will have. Good job of it yesterday, though. It was only the last few laps of the race that he started to fall away a little bit from the race leader, Nico Muller, as René Rast, 1 lap after Robin Freins, comes in. How is this going to tail out? Freins, the leading pit stopper.
We pit to avoid an undercut from Freins and Wittmann. We were fighting Müller virtually.
Exiting turn 8, the Robin Freins car at the moment, through turn 9. He's got 10, 11 and 12 to go. More cars coming into the pits. Philipp Eng, Ferdinand Habsburg coming in together as well.
You are ahead in DRS. 3 laps Wittmann, 2 laps Freins, and -1 lap to Müller. And there's van der Linde pit exit as well on older tires.
Freins has just gone over the start-finish line. There he is, to the left of your picture. René Rast coming out. He's going to be ahead, but his tyres will still need to get up to temperature. He's going to have to go super defensive here. Robin Freins will sense his opportunity to get ahead. And here we go. You're on board with Robin now. This effectively the battle for the lead of the race. These are the leading pit stoppers. Rast going really defensive, but the car understeers on cold tyres as he comes out of turn 5 onto the tri-oval bank and into turn 6. Robin should have the inside line. And as they turn back to the infield, he's through effectively into the lead of the race. Look at Wittmann as well. He's going to have a go now. It gets easier and easier. Not easy, but easier for Rast the longer through the lap he gets. So Wittmann will try, but there's not that much opportunity to overtake in that middle sector. So I think Rast should be okay to fend him off. So Freins back in the lead of the race effectively. Rast second. And Wittmann still hunting down that first podium of the season for him. I mean, only scored a point in the opening weekend at Spa. Much better day there yesterday for Marco. Didn't get the podium finish, but he did pick up good points for 4th place. So Muller still out there. He hasn't pitted yet. He leads the race. Rockenfeller second, Jonathan Aberdeen third for BMW, Lucas Auer 4th. And Saracen Newey in 5th place, but haven't pitted yet, any of those drivers. Thumping the curbs through turn 1. There is Jamie Green, goes side by side with Loic De Waal. He's off the road, he's on the grass, Green is through. So Jamie gets through with a forceful move there. Loic De Waal didn't give him much of an inch or a quarter there, did he? But Green gritted his teeth, got through. Every position, every point counts in this championship. Oh, he's going to maybe lose the place, though, as Loic De Waal comes back alongside him. Green sees what's coming, has to take a slightly wider entry than he would have liked because there's an Audi in his way, but he fends off the Frenchman. Right, so he immediately gets called in under investigation, Jamie Green, for this move. Right to the edge of the circuit. De Waal has to take to the grass or hit the brakes, and racing drivers don't like to hit the brakes, so he goes on the grass, rides the curb and tucks back in behind Jamie Green. There's no contact, but Jamie absolutely stole the racing line there. Though it did well to keep the car pointed in the right direction. So now you've got the top 2 in the race, but yet to pit. They were running 4th and 5th before the pit stops. Muller and Rockenfeller. Now, while the others have been having these raging battles in front of him, particularly Rast and Freins, has Muller been able to conserve his tyres a little bit better and therefore maybe go a bit longer? Well, he already is going longer into the first stint, but maybe can he keep the speed up? Last time around, a 1 minute 18.5 for him, a 1 minute 18.7 for Rockenfeller. So they're not bad lap times at this stage of the race, 16 laps in. A warning for Green, but no penalty is the message from race control. Quite a few warnings being dished out today. It's been quite feisty out there on day 2 here at the Lausitzring. Oh, and then he has to change position as well. So Green being told, you've got to give the place back to De Waal. If you don't, then you will get a penalty from us. We won't like that one bit. Robin Freins, last time around, head down, putting in a 116.992 to Rast's 117.7. Rast still getting the tyres up to temperature on his first lap before that. And it looks a bit more even now. Rast very much elevated in terms of his performance and the performance of the car after making a lot of changes from yesterday. Lucas Auer's come into the pits with Harrison Newey, the two that came together, or two of the drivers that came together in the first exchanges earlier on. Right, Freins goes through with a 1:17.2. Rast with his best lap of the race so far, but it's slower than Freins by 0.3, 1:17.5. It's pulling clear though of Wittmann. He did a 1:18.2. A 1:19.044 for Muller, so the tyres have now hit that wall, I think. A 1:19 for Rockenfeller as well, so suddenly 0.8 slower on that lap. Muller might need to start thinking about pitting pretty shortly, because he can't really afford to start losing 8 or 9/10 of a second a lap. I think he's staying out though, and Rocky too. So gambling on the fact that if he can just hold on for a little bit longer, he's going to have really good tyres by the end of the race, much fresher tyres than his rivals. He's going to have to find a way past them though, I'm pretty sure about that, because he's losing time out on the circuit at the moment. Muller with a slightly better lap that time, 1:18.9. Rocky a bit slower again, 1:19.1. But it's in the 1:17s now for the likes of Freins and Rast. So they're losing 1.5 to 2 seconds per lap, and they can't afford to do that for too long. They're the only two that haven't been in the pits yet. Even Robert Kubica, who pitted very late yesterday, has been in today. Running on board there with Nico Muller, trying to be as smooth as he can over the bumps. And we've got, as expected, as he was told to do, Jamie Green having let that position back up to Loic Duval. Clattering the curb again on the way through turn 1, through turn 2, straight to the left of turn 3 they go. These two 8th and 9th in the race at the moment. Timo Glock and Sheldon van der Linde just ahead of them. Van der Linde is going to have a... Well, if you thought the end of yesterday's race was long, it's going to be even longer for him today, having gone into the pits much earlier than everybody else in the points-paying positions. Right, Green trying to wind the pace back up now and trying to find another way past Loic Duval, and a way which gets him through without having to give the place back up. Muller stays out. I think Rocky has as well in the background. Yes, he has. 0.9 of a second between the top two. If they come out 4th and 5th after the pit stops, they haven't lost anything. If they come out any higher, it's been a gain. If they come out lower, it hasn't worked out at all for them. But the pace has dropped, absolutely, but they're keeping it consistent now. The last 3 laps, all in either the high 1:18s or low 1:19s. 1:19.069 for Nico Muller as he makes his way into turn 6. Robin Freins, who's the leading pit stopper you're watching now in the number 4 Audi, has just done a 1:17.5, so he's gained another 1.5 seconds with Timo Glock now ahead of Sheldon van der Linde. He's got through on him. So van der Linde loses a place. Timo into 6th position now. Enjoying a much better couple of races than he enjoyed at Spa, where he qualified well but struggled with tyre degradation. Rocketing away out to the tri-oval as well, and this is how he did it. Pulling out of the slipstream, you see the rear wing flap opens for DRS, and it was a fairly comfortable move, that, if you can be comfortable at pushing 300 kilometres an hour. You see the bumps there, under braking. Got the line, he just had to make sure he got the car turned in. Slightly tighter entry, he didn't run wide on the exit. Virtual leader, meaning he's, once the pit stops happen, almost certainly going to be the race leader overall, with Muller and Rocky staying out, trying something very different here. It's the gap back from Freins to Rast, growing again to 2.7 seconds. Rast is struggling a bit on these tyres, or is he looking after them? And is he going to really fire it up for the last 10 minutes of the race? Could be a good tactic. Wittmann, who's good at looking after his tyres, is dropping back further still. Then you've got Timo Glock, Sheldon van der Linde and Jamie Green coming again on Loic Duval. No complaints about that move. Clean move from Jamie Green. He's not going to have to give that one back, that's for sure. And ahead of Loic Duval for the 2nd time. They're getting ready for the race leader, Nico Muller, the championship leader. And yeah, the last lap was a 1:19.3, almost a 1:19.4 actually, and for Rocky. Rocky's going to go one more lap at least, though. He stays out. Muller, he's coming in, and Team Amp Sportsline are ready for him. As he lost too much time, though. He's been losing 1.5 seconds to Robin Freins. However, he's going to get lots of that back.
Pit lane. Copy, remember
tyres.
brake balance. We are virtually P7, Robin René and Wittmann are in front. Then it's a group of Glock, van der Linde, Green. They stopped very early. You will meet Jamie and Duval on pit exit. So the pit lane is clear. Go, go, go. You will have the tire advantage in the end. All the cars around you will have 11 to 10 laps DRS left. 23 laps to go.
So Freins through, Rast through.
Copy.
Wittmann's going to go through. Glock and van der Linde. Will he come out in front of or behind Jamie Green? Exactly as his race engineer predicted, anticipated, just behind Sheldon van der Linde. He could really do with keeping Jamie Green behind him now. That's not going to be easy. Jamie's tyres more up to temperature. The more he lets pass, the more he's going to have to re-overtake when they run out of tyres and rubber later on. Jamie Green lining it up, going down the inside and going through. So Muller loses another place, although Jamie's gone wide here on the exit to turn 6, and Muller might well have got the place back. Here he has. So that was helpful for Nico. It was a good attempt by Jamie Green, not the easiest place to overtake that. Brave stuff as ever from the British driver. But in the end, it's the Swiss that keeps his nose in front. Loic Duval, Philippe Eng just behind in the background as well. So pretty important that was for Nico Muller, to keep them behind. Mike Rockenfeller has finally come into the pits. He's underneath the commentary box now and in for his stop. Team Phoenix preparing the car. Teammate to Loic Duval this year. That's Moses' squad. Pretty good pit stop there, 7.3 seconds. He's going to come out somewhere around Muller, you would expect. There's Muller about to go over the line. He's going to be behind him, I think. In fact, he might be behind a few more as well. But he'll have the freshest tyres of all when he does. He'll take advantage of that later on. Just behind Green, but Duval and Eng are going to get past him with more heat in the tyres. So Rocky's going to have plenty of work to do here if he's to try and get through and into the points. He joins in behind Philippe Eng. So he's in the points, just in 10th place as Philippe Eng now draws alongside. The BMW moves ahead of Loic Duval in the background and gains a place, unless he goes wide on the exit. He's pulled off some good moves this weekend, Philippe Eng. Like to be ultimately higher up the top 10 than he has been, but he's driven well. So we've got these two together now, Nico Muller and Sheldon van der Linde. One's going to have really nice fresh tyres at the end of the race, relatively, and that's Muller, and the other he's going to make on very old tyres and made his stop earlier than everybody else. The first one in, Sheldon van der Linde. But at least he's in the race, at least he's getting involved here. It's unlikely going to be as good a day as yesterday, but from grid 10, he could get something out of this as Freins goes through. The race leader now, with everybody having pitted, and 1.1 seconds clear of René Rast, the driver who's been having some real battles with out there. Proper rivalry developing between those two. For now, it's the Abt Sportsline driver ahead of the Rosberg driver. And then Marco Wittmann, still third in the BMW, but 6 seconds back. 3 seconds clear of Glock in fourth, Muller fifth. We'll watch him go at the end of the race. Podium is possible. The win might be difficult. Depends how much the tyres go off for the likes of Freins and Rast at the head of the pack. We'll keep an eye on the times. That's looking smooth for now. So Freins did a 1:18.6 last time around. Rast was a bit quicker, 0.2 quicker. And here's Muller now homing in on Timo Glock. Here's the splitter cam. Fantastic shot this is. Chasing down Timo Glock. Getting almost underneath the rear wing there as you ride on board Nico Muller's number 51 Audi, looking to the inside. There's not a million overtaking places around here, so you have to pick your moment, line it up a corner ahead, and you know where he's going to have a go, don't you, on the way into the first turn. Over the line on the top two, and the gap is down to 0.6 seconds as Nico Muller now winds it up. The line is covered and blocked though. The BMW driver driving with his mirrors here. Covers the inside line. Nico Muller's going to have to be brave around the outside. He's going to try, but it won't quite work. For now, Timo Glock keeps him at bay. It's hardly going to wave him through, but strong defensive driving that from Timo Glock. Did his brand mates Marco Wittmann a favour as well, because he's the next one up the road in third place, trying to get a podium for the first time this season for himself, and a second for BMW this weekend. Right, here we go. Muller cannot be held off this time, and through he goes. He darts out late on the brakes. This is where saw Jamie Green go at him once Muller had come out on the fresh tyres this time. And for this driver, it sticks. So that's Muller up to 4th place now. Block 5th, Sheldon van der Linde still hanging on. Those older tyres in 6th place, 7th place Green, 8th for Eng. Rockenfeller 9th, Duval 10th. Duval slipping back here. Frustrating weekend after the DNF yesterday. Replay of the move. That was last millisecond stuff, wasn't it? No social distancing there between those two. Nor here between Freins and Rast. Here we go, side by side. Not for the first time today. René Rast goes alongside the Dutchman, goes through. I'll have to cover off the line. Robin Freins closes, but he's going to have to stare at the back of René Rast's wing now. It's only 3 laps ago that René was 1.2 seconds behind. He's now in the lead of the race. Can he keep it going though? Can he maintain speed and keep those tyres working, those Hankook tyres, all the way to the checkered flag? So Freins just looks like he maybe is beginning to struggle a bit, the way Rast has left him behind. Here's the replay of the move. Muller, by the way, is over 10 seconds behind this pair, so a lot of work to do for the championship leader if he's to get involved in the fight for the lead of the race. Picked the move early again, René Rast, made sure he got the racing line. Good move. You ride once more with Sheldon van der Linde, the number 31 Team RBM BMW with the Rosberg run Audi of Jamie Green just behind. Jamie dropped to 11th place at the start of the race, qualified in 8th position. So he's made some progress, 7th position at the moment. 5th definitely possible, but also he could go backwards because he's got these drivers in his mirrors as well, the likes of Eng and Rockenfeller. I'm not sure about Duval though, he looks like he's beginning to fade, I'm afraid. After a very good qualifying performance. Philip Eng, we know, is brave after what he did yesterday on Mike Rockenfeller, but Jamie Green is not an easy man to outbrake, I reckon. He's brave and keeps the BMW behind him. 2 top-level drivers here going together to try and get more points, but also close up to Sheldon van der Linde ahead. They come out of turn 5 onto the tri-oval circuit again, turn off it, and make their way through 6 into the right at 7, and then a bit more of a straight, just about to go into turn 8 as they come out of turn 7. The race leaders at the end, to the other end of the straight. Just under 21 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Sense the speed as you ride on board. The splitter cam and inside the cockpit with Nico Muller. Last lap time for Muller was a 1:17.6. Compare that to Rast. I know he pulled off the move, but he did a 1:19.1 and a 1:20 for Freins. So last time we checked, he was 10.3 seconds behind the race leader. That has gone down to 8.7, and when he crosses the line momentarily, it's going to be even less than that. He's flying after them. There's still quite a lot of time on the clock here. Nico Muller, his patience might have paid off here. We'll find out in the next 20 minutes or so. As Jamie Green now fires one up the inside of Sheldon van der Linde. That is late. Oh, almost contact between them. Van der Linde's put off his line. 2 wheels on the grass. They survive. And somehow Jamie Green closes the door in time to prevent both them coming through. What was that, man, says Sheldon van der Linde. It was a very last-second move from Jamie Green. Would have looked pretty spectacular. I think Sheldon van der Linde, like me, thought that was coming. No element of surprise almost worked for Jamie there, but he stays where he is, as now Mike Rockenfeller, who's got fresher tyres than anybody out there, the last to come into the pits, pulls, or tries to pull off a move on Philip Eng. He goes one way, goes the other. He's got more traction. Duval's trying to come back at them as well. Ferdinand Habsburg and Lucas Auer in the background. It could be this move for Rockenfeller. He's a bit too far back, I think. But he's all over Philip Eng's case now, and he'd feel like it's just a matter of time. If he can get through, he'll be into 8th place. Again, Philip Eng positions the car in the right place, brakes at the right time, and doesn't give Rockenfeller an opportunity. The BMW stays ahead of the Audi for now, as they make their way out through turn 12, back onto the tri-oval banking to complete another lap. Right, Rast, the race leader, with a 1:19.1, a 1:19.2 for Freins in second. 1:18.8 for Wittmann in third, and a 1:18.0 for Muller. So he's 1.1 seconds quicker than the race leader. Muller is now 7 seconds behind the race leader. He's got got it down from 10.3 to 7 in just 3 laps. So he's averaging just over a second a lap quicker at this phase of the race. He's got to catch them and he's got to pass them. He's got a BMW to try and get through first with Marco Wittmann. Focused. Hot inside that cockpit, 20 odd degrees hotter than the ambient temperature. So you're looking at, I reckon, close to 50 degrees in that cockpit. Not comfortable at all. That's why these guys are so super fit. Nico Müller, who's been driving beautifully this year. He is not out of the running for a race victory, certainly not out of the running for a podium in this one. Can he keep it going? 4 wins out of 4 this season. 5 on the bounce if he does it, going back to Hockenheim last year. He's not far off.
Hit me.
Not far off being with Wittmann now. Was that he hit me from Ing? I think it was. He's got a bit of that transmission there. In that fight with Jamie Green and Mike Rockenfeller now that he's battling with. Here we go. Right, it is Mike Rockenfeller still trying to find a way past Felipe Eng. This time, I think he's done it around the outside before they get to the turn-in point, and Rocky goes through. Frustrated there, though, by Felipe Eng. He did a good job to keep him behind for quite a long time. Right, these two together again like they were at the start of the race. Well, they will be soon because Marco Wittmann is being reeled in here in 3rd place by the 4th place man, Nico Müller. Müller, all the time, is catching the leaders as well. 6.4 seconds behind the race lead now. Remember, he was the last but one to come in and pit. Mike Rockenfeller has got fresher tyres at this stage of the race. Down the gears, turn it in, hover on the throttle, and then boot it. Marco Wittmann, an outstanding drive again, not necessarily the best car out there in this race based on qualifying positions at least, but from 7th on the grid. He's been in a podium paying position for a while now. An outstanding driver, Marco Wittmann. That's why he's a 2-time champion. 3rd in last year's standings, as over the line comes Müller, and the gap between him and Wittmann is 0.8 of a second. He was 4 tenths quicker on that lap, and he was 6 tenths quicker than the race leader. But what he'll need to do is get past Marco Wittmann ASAP. He doesn't want to spend 2 or 3 laps stuck behind the BMW and allow Rast and Freins to get back away from him, or at least maintain the gap, maintain the advantage. Rast is exactly 2 seconds clear in the lead from Freins, and 3 seconds behind him is Wittmann in 3rd. Who you're looking at now, going a bit deep into the apex of the corner there as he begins to struggle with understeer with the car, with Nico Müller quicker and quicker and quicker each time, pulling in those gaps. Quickest man on the circuit at the moment, you won't be surprised to hear, Nico Müller. Right, almost there now, and if he can get himself in position going on to the start-finish straight, that might well be an opportunity into turn 1 for him. That's what he's going to try and achieve, I would think, on the way to the right-hander at turn 10. Tight corner this, straight into the left at 11, and then building up the speed through turn 12 to come back onto the start-finish straight. Is he close enough to attack here? I'm not sure. He's going to get pushed to pass, he's going to get DRS, he's going to get a tow, but I think he's a bit too far back. He'll probably catch him under braking, but there's no way he's going to have a lunge from that far back. So the BMW will stay 3rd for now at least. Half a second between them as they cross the line. 1 minute 18.7 for Müller. Only 2 tenths quicker than René Rast, who suddenly found a bit more pace. 1 minute 18.9. Mike Rockenfeller and Jamie Green swap positions, with Rocky now ahead and using those fresh tyres to good effect here. So that puts him up to 7th place. Next target, Sheldon van der Linde, and just ahead of him is Timo Glock. So absolutely a 5th place on the cards here, maybe even higher. And this was how he did it. Eyeing the inside line all the way down the start-finish straight for turn 1. Took the curb, didn't outbrake himself, tidy on the exit, through he went. Now it's very close for 3rd, isn't it, with Müller absolutely piling the pressure on to Marco Wittmann. If anybody can sustain pressure for a long time, it's Marco. The German under pressure now from the Swiss on this 22nd lap of the race. Gap growing between the top 2, by the way, to 2.5 seconds now. Only a 1:19.4 for Freins. If you can dispatch Marco Wittmann quickly, absolutely, 2nd place is a possibility here. I'm not sure about the win anymore for Nico Müller, as Rast is keeping up the pace, doing a, as you'd expect, fine job. And again, no way through it. The best overtaking opportunity at the start of the lap. Wittmann doing a terrific job coming out of the last turn to keep that car at arm's length as Rockenfeller goes for the move at said corner, and this time it's on Sheldon van der Linde. So Rocky now up into the top 6, and Timo Glock's only half a second or so ahead of him. And much older tyres as well, so Mike Rockenfeller should be able to get up into the top 5 in this race. We shall see. Here's a replay. Sheldon tried to cover off his line, but was fair with it and couldn't really do anything about letting Rocky through. It's testament to Sheldon's driving that he's still up there, given that those tyres must be becoming quite hard work now for him. 3 seconds the lead now for René Rast. 118.7 on the last lap. Second lap consecutive he's done that sort of time in a 119.2, bit better that he'd done on the previous lap for Robin Frijns, but still losing time to the race leader. As we go back to this battle for 3rd place, and again Marco Wittmann just gets off the corner well out of turn 12, just edges clear, and yes, Nico Müller's going to close up to it, but he's still going to be too far back to have a lunge into turn 1. So this is exactly what Nico didn't want, as Mike Rockenfeller's already caught up to Timo Glock. DRS deployed. Ooh, Timo's really late on the brakes though, and closes the door. I'm not going to make your life that easy, he says. If you want to find a way past, you're going to have to do something spectacular to get past me. Because Timo Glock very much wants to keep hold of his own position. He's also trying to pull away from the pack behind as well. You can see it's hard work though as he gets on the power, and Mike Rockenfeller with a much smoother exit through turn 5, goes up the inside on the way into turn 6 now and moves through. Timo gets close on the exit, but the Audi has found a way past the BMW. Rockenfeller is something like 9 seconds down on that battle for 3rd place, so that might be as high up the order as he gets now, but good effort from Rocky. We had 2 very good races at Spa. It was the first time he didn't finish in the points yesterday, although he did on the road. He got that penalty for the slow zone infringement, which dropped him from 10th to 11th. Loic de Waal still in the points, but only 1.2 seconds clear of Ferdinand Habsburg. Right, this is much closer now. This is your chance, Nico Müller. He knows it, he takes it, and he goes through up to 3rd position ahead of Marco Wittmann, who's done a good job of keeping him at bay for 3 or 4 laps there with pretty relentless pressure. So Müller through about 6 seconds or so down on Robin Frijns in 2nd place, and with just over 10.5 minutes plus a lap to go. Got much closer on the exit to the final turn. That was what did it for him. And job was done before they even got to the braking zone. It's Philip Eng in 9th place. In a train, they're all together here. Got Jamie Green, Philip Eng, Loic de Waal, Ferdinand Habsburg, Eng having a look. Green always late on the brakes though, closes the door, holds on to 8th place for now. 8th, 9th and 10th together. Habsburg desperately trying to catch them to get into the points. And you've also got Lucas Auer, who's had a quiet weekend so far. He could get some points out of this. He's just behind in the number 22 BMW. And actually, Jonathan Laberdine's not a million miles back either. So it could be a really interesting fight in the last 10 minutes or so for these lower points inside the top 10. De Waal is in the sweet spot at the moment, in 10th place. I suspect half the reason he wants to get past Eng is because he doesn't want to be attacked from those cars behind. Super slow-mo replay. That was close. I don't think there was any contact, but it wasn't far away. It's on the limit. So there in the foreground, number 99, Mike Rockenfeller, 5th, Glock 6th, Sheldon van der Linde 7th, Green in 8th, the blue BMW of Eng in 9th, the red and black Audi of de Waal still holding on to the final championship point at the moment. Last lap times for the leaders, a 1:19.2 for both Rast and Frijns, a 1:18.6 for Müller, 0.6 quicker now that he's been released, having got past the BMW of Marco Wittmann. So he's 5.5 seconds down on the leader. He's 1.8 seconds behind Robin Frijns in 2nd place. There's your leader, René Rast. Time's going off now, as you'd expect. 1:19.2. He was doing high 1:18s a couple of laps ago. What he needs is Robin Frijns to do a Marco Wittmann and keep Nico Müller behind for a number of laps. Remember, teammates these two, albeit they're an in DTM, and they're also both fighting for the championship because Robin Frijns is second in the points, and his teammate Nico Müller is the championship leader. So Frijns is not going to make this easy, which might be to the benefit of the driver that's not in their team and leading the race, René Rast. See how this one plays out. There's no doubt about it. Müller is easily the quickest man out there currently. The only driver in the 1:18s. Reeling in then, Robin Frijns. These two started on the front row of the grid. Frijns got the better start, got the lead of the race. Müller slotting into 4th place in the early stages of the race and dropped behind Marco Wittmann and René Rast. Can he get himself 2nd place here? He's already on the podium. He's already on 4 consecutive podiums here in the Lausitzring. He'll want more though. And he knows he's got the car underneath him and fresher tyres than the Dutchman. You can see that the car is just able to take the apex much better, get on the gas that little bit early with the extra grip that he's got in the Hankook tyres. But Robin Frijns will try now and get that car as quickly as he can up to top speed coming out of turn 12 to give himself some breathing space. I'm not sure he's going to do it though, because taking the low line and drawing alongside to go, I reckon, into 2nd place any moment now is Nico Müller. He's done it. Through he goes as they cross the line together. Cross the line exactly together, actually to within 100th of a second of each other. But it's Müller that will get to the turn first, and he's second. 4.7 seconds down on René Rast with 6 minutes 51 seconds plus 1 lap left on the clock. There is time enough. 1:19.1 for René Rast last time around. Slightly better than the previous 2 laps. Philippe Eng alongside and in front of Sheldon van der Linde. So Eng has gone into 7th place now, and Jamie Green is going slowly.
Correct.
Copy then, box.
We didn't hear the full transmission, but something wrong with the car, I'm afraid. Obvious to see. And poor old Jamie Green has dropped out of the points and headed for the pits. Real shame for Jamie. Had such a good weekend at Spa, and there you go in the background. It's going side by side again here. These two for 13th place. Fabio Scherer ahead of Harrison Newey. 13th for him now. Fabio Scherer, not inconceivable, he could get some points out of this race. He was a lap down after an extra pit stop yesterday with a penalty and a spin as well at the start of the race. However, his lap times were good, and it looks like he's maintained the speed. This was the moment on the previous lap that we saw that change for 2nd place with Nico Müller getting ahead of Robin Frijns. Müller has now got the gap down to exactly 4 seconds to the race leader. He was 6/10 quicker on the previous lap. He's got time. He's got time to catch René Rast. Can he find a way past him when he catches him though? And how much time will he have? It won't be much. Just over 5 minutes left on the clock, plus that extra lap at the end of the 55. Through the first sector, Müller has taken another 1/10.5 out of René Rast. So he's on average a couple of tenths quicker per sector of each lap. To get back 4 seconds at 6/10 of a second a lap is going to take him pretty much to the last lap of the race. We could do with finding a bit more pace. Rast keeping up such consistent lap times. 1:19.1 again. That's 4 laps, all been within 1/10 of a second of each other. Müller hunting him down though. These two in these big fights for the championship title last year. Rast came out on top, and Müller has grown over the winter. He has gone up to another level in 2020, and he's full of confidence. Even if he can't beat René Rast, it's still been a good effort this to get up to 2nd place. The strategy worked, and Jamie Green's car, as we expected, being pushed back into the garage now. No points for Jamie. A real shame. A disappointing weekend here at the Lausitzring. He's had more wins than anybody else on the grid. Maybe next week we'll be kinder to him. And they use the longer version of the circuit, the Grand Prix version of the circuit. Right, the gap down to 3.4 seconds. Fabio Scherer on Sheldon van der Linde now, with Harrison Newey trying to follow him through. So Scherer gains another place and edges towards a potential points finish here if he can get in the top 10. Harrison Newey got his first point yesterday after finishing 11th on the road with that penalty being applied to Mike Rockenfeller's time. Sheldon van der Linde no surprise really, the tyres have really gone off now after the gamble to make the very early pit stop. It got him involved in the race, but he's now struggling and nothing he can do to prevent Snewey from coming through. So Harrison gains the place as well. Sheldon van der Linde will drop down to 14th position. Highs and lows of motorsport. Yesterday was an absolutely mega day for him, but well deserved. He drove beautifully, but today the car just didn't handle for him in qualifying with this change in temperature, and his only option really, after not gaining anything on the first lap of the race, was to try something different, which you can only recognise has been quite a positive step to take. Unfortunately, it's not worked out for him. He's not going to get any points today. Right, the leader, 2.6 seconds clear through the last split, so another couple of tenths gained through that sector for Muller. Just a bit slower on the previous lap to what he had been doing. René Rast, a 119.3 versus a 118.7 for Nico Muller. Time ticks down though, 2 minutes 35 seconds. Is he just going to run out of time here on this one? Traffic's not going to be an issue, that's for sure, for René Rast. Those slower cars to be caught up, and René doesn't tend to make many mistakes, so it's all on Nico really to force something out of this. About Freins and Wittmann as well in the background. That gap's coming down. 3 tenths quicker on the previous lap was Marco, so could yet get a podium out of this. Catching up to Robin Freins, who is now really struggling with the tyres. 1 minute 20.0 for Robin Freins last time around. A couple of cars out there are slower than him on that lap, so Robin will have to dig deep to get the final podium here. 1 minute and 53 seconds or so left on the clock as they come through. So there'll be about 30-40 seconds left on the clock next time through. Then the clock will tick down, then another lap on top. So I reckon 3 to go for Nico Muller to find a way through. Here's that battle for third place I was talking about, and absolutely, Marco is closing the gap, half a second down now. Another slow lap from Freins, 1 minute 20.357 seconds, 119.5 for Wittmann, half a second quicker. It's half the gap in one lap alone. I'd say that's the more likely change that we're going to get at the sharp end, the change for third. But there's still a chance here for Nico Muller, and the way he's driving, absolutely wouldn't rule him out yet. Got some driver in the lead of the race so to try and find a way past. He knows all about him from last season, of course. René Rast, the two-time champion, 1.9 seconds his advantage. It's almost nothing now between third and fourth. Robin Freins has got the BMW of Marco Wittmann almost on top of him as they make their way into the braking zone and turn through turn 8, coming up to the through the final sector of this lap now. Through the last corner comes René Rast. 30-odd seconds left on the clock when he crosses the line, so the clock will tick down on the next lap, and I get one more after this, so 2 laps to go. 1.3 seconds the gap. Who's going to get to turn 1 first in the battle for third place? I think it'll be Freins, but only just. Marco Wittmann's going to be right with him when he gets to the braking zone. Closes the gap, but the Audi stays ahead. Can Marco get a second podium this weekend for BMW? Remember, he just missed out yesterday in 4th place, but Sheldon van der Linde, his brand mate, who did it, and there's no doubt who's the quicker of the two here, that's for sure. Keeping an eye on the gap from first to second as well. Another 3 tenths, nearly 3 tenths of a second gain by Muller through the first sector of that lap. As Wittmann goes one way, goes the other. On the way into turn 6, Robin Freins has to be a bit defensive. Will it cost him on the exit? Will he go wide? Yes, he will. And Marco Wittmann goes through into third place with a lap and a half to go. So back onto a podium position. Remember, he started 7th on the grid. There's the gap then from first to second, down to just over a second but one sector, and another 3 tenths gained on that one. He's gaining 3 tenths every sector now, 0.7 of a second. When they cross the beam, when they cross the line, it's going to be less than half a second, look. Maybe 3 or 4 tenths, that's all it's going to be. The clock's down to 0, so they get the last lap board now. 1 lap there will be for Nico Muller to try and find a way past René Rast to get his 4th win of the season, his 4th win on the bounce this year, and his 5th consecutive race victory. A bit of a lock-up there from René Rast as he goes through turn 1, and Muller comes alongside him, but René Rast closes the door. There's one chance gone for Muller, but it was close. There'll be more chances. What about turn 6? We've seen some moves there. Can he do it? He's going to have to be closer. Out of turn 5 they come. I'm not sure he's close enough. Is he prepared to have a lunge? No chance. René Rast gets there first. Stays in the lead. Half a lap to go. They exit turn 6 into turn 7 now. The right-hander. Options running out for Nico Müller. Maybe he can have one more go to try and get up the inside through the final corner and get the run to the checkered flag, but he needs to be a bit closer. René Rast driving for his life here as he keeps that red and white Audi at the front. Here we go then, Nico Müller winding things up, closing. He knows he's got one chance here. He's got to get super close going into the 12th and final turn. He's got super close. He gets on the gas. It's now a sprint for the checkered flag. A drag race to the finish. But Rast looks like he's got just enough in hand here. It's got the inside line as well. Muller's going to come at him. It's going to be close. But Rast does it. Over the line together. But Rast breaks the beam.
ALS off. Pick up, please. Slow inlet. What a drive.
They don't get much closer.
Mamma mia. Well done. Great. Bravo.
Thank you, René. Nice job.
Copy. Sorry for the shit start. Made our lives hard. Yeah. Good job, guys. Good job.
Apologies for Nico's slightly expletive language there, but yeah, I messed up the start is what he said. Well, probably been a bit hard on yourself there, Nico, because with all that was going on in front of you, it's sort of the only option you had was to try and get alongside Rast and Freins, and that was what cost him the position to Marco Wittmann in the end. It's because he lost out to Rast off the line, but blimey, nearly did it. 0.0 seconds between them as they crossed the line. Just a few thousandths in that, wasn't there? We don't get to the thousandths of a second on the timing screen, so it just says plus 0.0, but that would have been just a few thousandths of a second. And if the start-finish line had been a bit further up the road, Nico might just have done that. Wow, what a finish. What a race. René Rast, the victor, he held on. If it had been 56 minutes plus 1 lap, Nico would probably have won that, but it wasn't. And René Rast gets his first win of the season. One team in ecstasy, one team in disbelief. Woo. But well done to all at Team Rosberg. Kimo Limitine and the team principal. Florian Rinks, the engineer, and of course the driver, René Rast, getting that victory. He crossed the line first at Spa, had that taken away from him. Weekend didn't start great here at the Lausitzring, but he's on top again. It's often the case last year. Not so good Saturday, great Sunday. René Rast wins, Nico Müller second, Marco Wittmann third, Robin Freins fourth, Mike Rockenfeller strong fifth place, Timo Glock sixth, Philip Eng seventh, Loic de Waal was eighth in the end. It was all pretty close back there as well, with ninth to Aberdeen, and Ferdinand Habsburg got the final point just because Fabio Scherer was 0.2 of a second behind him as they crossed the line. That point's coming, I think, from Fabio. He's had some pretty good pace here this weekend. Probably hasn't given him the points that he might have otherwise have deserved, but Habsburg it is that gets 10th, Scherer in 11th, Newey 12th, Kubica 13th, as he was yesterday, Lucas Auer 14th, Van der Linde struggling with the tyres at the end of the race, down in 15th, Jamie Green, the only retiree towards the end of the race with 6 laps to go. René Rast out of the car, into the shade, which will be a welcome relief, I would say. After a hot race, 100% focus was required on every single lap on that run into the checkered flag. And you see how close it was at the line. If he made one mistake in one corner, gone wide somewhere in that last 10 or 15 minutes, on one corner, or just missed the apex, or just missed the braking zone, he would have missed out, but he didn't. He was perfect. René Rast, the winner. This was one of his many moments drawing alongside Robin Freins in that race. And this, ultimately, a decisive move. Remember, he was behind Robin when they came out of the pit stops, and he closed a 1.2 second deficit down in just a few laps. Took his chance, the first chance he had into turn 1. Through he went, and then got his head down. I think he probably knew his race ultimately was going to be at the end with Nico Müller, and he couldn't afford to get held up by Robin Freins. So a race victor for the 18th time in the DTM, René Rast, absolutely still involved in this championship fight and turning things around massively after what was a relatively disappointing 7th place finish on day one here at the Lausitzring. And well done to that man as well, Marco Wittmann, with his first podium of the season. Been a good weekend for Marco, a third and a fourth, and much more like what we've come to expect from him. So Marco Wittmann will make his way onto the third step of the podium and raises his own silverware, his first of the season. Having, with a lap and a half, managed to find a way past Robin Freins, the pole sitter. Well, the winning streak comes to an end, but only by a few thousandths of a second. Second place, though, that's your worst result after 4 races. You know it's been a pretty good start to the season. Nico Müller, second place today for Team Amp Sportsline. The winning team, though, for this 4th round of the championship, taking René Rast to the flag and receiving their silverware are Team Rosberg. And that just leaves one more trophy then to be lifted here at the Lausitzring. And it is, of course, going to be that man, René Rast. Introduced up onto the top step of the podium, 25 incredibly valuable points and a race win in round 4 of the 2020 DTM season. Fabulous race, a great way to take the victory, and we now get to hear the German national anthem. Was hanging on by his fingernails at the end of that race. But a cooler man in the paddock you will not find. René Rast gets it exactly right. A race victory, which yesterday seemed most unlikely. Less than number 1 of the DTM. Never count out René Rast. Race victory. He scores 7 more points than Nico Müller. And for the first time, Nico has to settle for second best. Champagne is now sprayed. Nice way to cool down initially, and then you realise it's quite sticky afterwards and not that pleasant to sit in the press conference in a sticky race suit, but and it's not great for the eyes either. He won't care though. They all clink bottles. They're drinking of the champagne, of course, in these current times. Wiping the champagne from his eyes is René Rast. Don't worry, he's not emotional, he's just trying to see. So there, in this beautifully clear Sunday afternoon, we get an update of the championship points. Exactly 100 already for Nico Müller. Wow, he's only had 4 races. 61 points and back up to second place in the table now for René Rast. Robin Freins still hasn't won a race yet. He's got 3 poles, still hasn't won a race. Third, 58 points. Jamie Green, pointless in that race, 34. Mike Rockenfeller, 32 points in 5th place. And then Marco Wittmann is up to 6th place now on 28 points. Well, what an effort that was. He almost made it, Verena. You can catch up now, though, with our 2nd place finisher.
This certainly was a big effort. Congratulations to Nico Müller for 2nd place. You came from 2, you ended on 2, but you gave it your all. On the radio to your engineer, you mentioned maybe it was a start, but quite frankly, it was so tight. I mean, you almost had it.
Yeah, yesterday the race felt never ending. Today I would have wished it was 1 lap longer. Yeah, I made my life too hard with the start today. I didn't expect to have so much more grip than yesterday at the start, and I bogged down a bit. So we have to look into what we can do for that. Yeah, a bit annoying because the pace was very good. I didn't really want to get involved in the battles in the first lap and just let the guys fight it out. I think it paid off because then we could prolong our first stint a bit and make sure I had tires at the end, so that was good. But yeah, 1 DRS too little, 1 lap too little, so didn't quite work out. But I think we've shown again that even if things don't run 100% in our way, we can still fight for a win. And I think that's an important statement that we take on into the season.
Oh, and you fought so hard. It was really fun watching. It was also very nerve-wracking, but it was an amazing race. We were sweating outside, not even sitting in a car. How hot was it in there? Over 50 degrees, I would think?
Yeah, I think so. We normally have like 25 degrees more than you have outside, so I guess we're close to the 30s today, and that means we're probably having 55 in the car. But to be honest, today it felt less exhausting, the heat, because yesterday was very humid, and that's what makes you lose a lot of water. And today was a bit less bad actually. So yeah, unfortunately the result wasn't as good. But anyway, it's all good. Lots of important points collected here in the Lausitz, and looking forward to come back next week.
I guess you could get used to winning, but let me remind you, second place is also a fantastic place. So Nico, thank you so much, and back to the commentator.
Thanks, Verena. 55 degrees, can you imagine? I definitely want my shorts and sandals if I was in that sort of heat. Definitely not want to be wearing a race suit and a race helmet, gloves, boots. Crikey, they are super, super fit. Well, it was by the narrowest of margins, but we can now hear from our race winner.
Here he is, our race winner, René Rast, the reigning champion. René is back. It's so good to see you here winning. And quite frankly, I mean, in the end, when Nico was coming closer and closer, were you getting nervous for a second?
Yeah, obviously you're getting nervous. But I have to say, overall, such a cool race. Had a lot of fun, especially first fight with Robin. You know, I had a good start. Got sent in the gravel or in the grass the first lap. Recovered, and then I had a fight with Robin for a few laps. It was just it was awesome. I mean, that's DTM, I would say. That's how we want to see it. And in the end, you know, Nico was catching up, and I was just praying that my tires are going to last. And in the end, I just won by I don't know how many tenths. So pretty cool race, and very happy.
And now that you won here, I guess you like the Lausitzring. Next weekend we're coming back, but it's going to be the Grand Prix version of it. What do you expect there?
Yeah, last year we won here on the long version as well. So, so you know, basically yesterday we were nowhere. Today we basically improved the car a lot. Hopefully we can keep up the pace for next weekend.
All right, thank you so much, and it was worth working on the car so much. That's for sure. Thank you, René. Back to you.
You're right, Verena. The hard work paid off. Wow. I wonder if in hindsight, and hindsight's a wonderful thing, I wonder if Nico Müller will think maybe we should have pitted one lap earlier. Because remember, he was losing a second and a half in these lap times at the end of that tyre life on the first stint. And it brought him out in the battle with Jamie Green, which sort of held him up for a little bit. And a few thousandths would have made a difference. There was also some great late race action in the battle for third. And we can hear now from the final driver to make it onto the podium.
This man certainly knows how to fight. Marco Wittmann coming from P7 to P3. We've seen so much action. You are giving it your all. Is this one of the toughest races, and are you happy, really happy about the third place?
Yeah, actually I'm happy about P3. I mean, it's challenging, you know, if you don't have the same pace as the Audis have, it's difficult to reach something, you know, and I gave it all. I had a super good start, a good first lap where I was already on P3. And then also the fight with Robin and René at the lead at the beginning, and in the second last lap against Robin. So I gave it all, yes. Happy about P3, but clearly there's still the gap, you know. The Audis, they are quite strong, I have to say, especially in quali. And this is something we really need to work on, because of course from P7 it's tough really to reach a podium or maybe even a win. And all the people who knows me, I prefer to stand on the top step. So there is still work to do, but at least I think we can be quite happy with yesterday's fourth place, today P3. At least some good points.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that BMW still has some hard work to do. You only have a few days because we're back here on the weekend. What do you think can be done till next weekend?
I mean, it's tough because the gap today in quali was quite high, was up to half a second. And I mean, within 5 days, 4 days, it will be difficult to close this gap on the same track. I mean, a bit of longer track layout, but generally it's kind of the same track. It will be difficult. I mean, we will give it all. But yeah, I think we need to be realistic as well.
And one question in regards to the bumpy track. I mean, we see you guys just bouncing on the track. What can we imagine it being like? I mean, you have a top speed that's amazing, and it's so bouncy.
Well, I mean, you get used to it in the car, I have to say. I mean, you feel this bouncing. It comes mainly when you open the DRS on the main straights. So you need to close it a bit earlier before braking, otherwise you start to lock the wheels. It's a bit tricky, sometimes it's a bit challenging, but as I said, somehow you get used to it.
All right, Marco, thank you so much, and looking forward to seeing you next weekend. And now back to the commentator.
Thanks, Verena. I need a good lie down after a day of driving that car. Marco Wittmann, a 15-time DTM race winner. And as he said, he's used to, and he likes being on the top step, but that was a real champion's performance. Fantastic drive from Marco Wittmann. René Rast can go and shake his hand at the end of the race as well, because remember, Marco kept Nico Müller at bay for 3 or 4 laps when Nico was coming through on those fresher tyres. And ultimately, that was the difference between Nico winning the race or not. Second place it was, though. In the end, his tremendous winning streak comes to a close. But if you're going to lose a winning streak, second place, it's not the end of the world. He walks away with a 39-point lead in the championship. The gap has come down, though, and it's thanks to the brilliant drive and performance from this man, René Rast, for Audi Sport Team Rosberg. He picks up his first race victory of the season, after crossing the line first in race 2 at Spa. To keep this one and now mount a real challenge for the championship to take his 3rd title. René Rast then raises the silverware here at the 4th round of the DTM 2020. Hope you enjoyed the commentary, and now I'll hand you back over to Verena to wrap up the day.
Thank you so much to our commentators. And yeah, it was a really hot day here at the Lausitzring. We saw some amazing racing action. And I'm certainly looking forward to next weekend, because it's not a long time to wait. It's next weekend here at the Lausitzring. And then we'll be using the Grand Prix version of the track. I'm really looking forward to it. You don't want to miss it. Now do enjoy the highlights of today's race, and see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.